Dan Lanning's doing a lot of good things at Oregon, and it'll be interesting to see what that means for 2023. I think long term, they are in good hands. And we'll talk about 10 guys today in the short term that will play a big role this season. We start with an offense that has a lot of exciting players, but Terence Ferguson is a player who could have a breakout season and one who still, I think, honestly flies under the radar, a big target for Bo Nix in this offense, someone who could be a vertical threat down the seam and also be a physical threat as a blocker as well. You're looking at a team that has a lot of skill position talent, and having a guy that's 6'5, 250 pounds gives you a big target downfield, a physical player in the running attack, and then that opens things up for other players like Holden, the Alabama transfer. I think just needed a new start, and there's still no guarantee that he's going to automatically succeed, but the talent level is there. There's a reason why Alabama wanted him. There's a reason why Oregon recruited him out of the transfer portal. And now you get to see what he can do in an offense that could feature him. This is a Oregon team that has a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. Chris Hudson comes back. We'll talk about Troy Franklin in a little bit, but Trayshawn Holden is someone who could be a breakout candidate for this team. And again, there's a lot of skill position talent that is going to be fun to watch in 2023. And Trayshawn Holden is one of those players. Evan Williams is another player that fits in that category. And he's on the defensive side of the ball, comes in from Fresno State, being a staple in that Bulldogs defense. And now he gets to take his talents to the Power Five level. You lose a little bit of talent in the secondary if you're Oregon, but you add a talent like Evan Williams who can make things a lot easier for you defensively. That's huge for, again, this defense that'll feature a number of new pieces, but Evan Williams can provide that leadership, can provide that veteran presence, someone who's played a lot of college football, a lot of snaps, and now you get a team that suddenly feels a little bit more comfortable with where they're at. The rushing attack will be a group that they shouldn't have to worry about. Noah Whittington is back as the backup running back, someone with good speed and maybe a little undersized. You're not 5'8", but someone who can be a big impact player, someone who has the speed to open things up for this offense. And once again, Oregon's team will feature plenty of speed that puts a lot of stress on the defenses that they face. Going back to the defensive side of the ball, Turquoise Bridges comes back at cornerback. And this secondary will face, like I said, with some of the other videos with Pac-12 teams. This is a team that faces a lot of talented offenses in the Pac-12, a lot of explosive passing attacks, and Bridges will be one of those players that gets tested quite frequently. What he can do to help his team will play a big role in slowing down those offenses. And at 6'3", he has the size that teams will covet at the next level. A player that they added to the defense in the transfer portal is Jordan Birch. Now, there's some questions about if he was going to stay there or not, but so far it appears that he is ready to make a big time impact on a team that has big goals in 2023. Now, obviously, they have certain pieces that they need to replace, but Jordan Birch is someone who's an instant impact player, an instant starter for Dan Lanning's defense. And Dan Lanning's familiarity with him in the SEC is probably what made this happen. Jordan Birch has a potential to be an absolute beast for Oregon this year. The defensive line features a couple of playmakers that maybe still fly under the radar, and Brandon Doorless is one of them. Now, he's been playing with Oregon for a while, so if you're a Pac-12 fan, you probably know who he is. But if you're just a casual football fan, you probably haven't heard his name or maybe just don't know him and for what he can do. And his numbers aren't going to wow you in terms of being disruptive, but he is someone who brings more to the table than just what he puts in the box score. This defense, I think, has the pressure on them more than the offense, but this is a defense that still returns and really gets more talent from the transfer portal. So you're looking at a team that's in good hands there in terms of the talent level you have on both sides of the ball. Bo Nix is back after the biggest year of his career. It was a great move for him to move on from Auburn, and the player that we saw at Auburn still remains, but we saw the potential of what he could do in a system that actually benefits him and is not having him run for his life and try to make some really ridiculous throws. Now, he's still going to do that every once in a while, but he has found a way to settle down a little bit and provide himself and this team some stability to be able to do this for an offense that features a number of explosive playmakers is huge for a team that has bigger goals. A player that emerged for the rushing attack is Bucky Irving, a guy who transfers in from Minnesota. I think people really liked the transfer, but they just weren't expecting this from him. 1,000-yard season, in 2022, and he could have an even bigger year. This is a guy who averaged nearly 7 yards per carry. Someone who, man, he is just so fun to watch. Underrated speed, underrated ability to make big plays, underrated home run threat. And if this rushing attack continues doing what it's doing, it'll be interesting to see what they can do this year. The offensive line obviously loses multiple key pieces, multiple players that played a lot of snaps for this team. So that's something to keep an eye on. But this is still a team that is loaded with talent and should be just fine. The player that everyone has their eye on is Troy Franklin. Had a big year for the Ducks last year, and one of the guys that probably benefited from a more stable Bo Nix, a more explosive Bo Nix. So now what do you do that you've had a full year of experience with Nix and now you're both coming back? Can you take that to another level? Is 1,000 yards an option? That will be interesting to see. This is a team, like I said, with plenty of talent and with plenty of playmakers, and it appears the passing attack is in good hands. Like I said, Holden is coming in from the transfer portal. Chris Hudson is back. Terence Ferguson at tight end will be an option. There are a lot of players that will make sure that this offense features the right players. They'll find success. And then from there, it's just a matter of how much success will they sustain? How much can they do to take their game to another level? And what does that mean in terms of winning the Pac 12 and potentially making the college football playoff?